What's up, ladies and gentlemen of the internet? How are you guys doing? About a year ago, I posted a video and it was called Triathlon on the Cheap. And in that video, I went over kind of all the stuff that an athlete would need to do a triathlon. And I kind of went over like the most absolute cheapest things that you could possibly get to kind of do a triathlon. And I'll link that video up here somewhere. But in this video, what I'd like to do is something pretty similar, but instead of just going kind of like with the absolute cheapest stuff, I figured I would kind of go over what is more of like a realistic cost to all the things that you'll need to do a triathlon. Okay, so let's just jump into it, and I'll probably just do this in the order in which I put things together on race day. And one of the first things that I actually do on race morning is just apply sunscreen. And so don't forget sunscreen. It will definitely save you a lot of pain. Usually, you know, sunscreen's $8. That's something you probably have at home. And the next thing that I actually do, just even before putting on my tri-suit in the morning, is just apply, you know, chamois cream or potentially like a body glide type product, just to avoid chafing and things like that. You may actually apply that to your neck, sometimes your ankles to help your wetsuit get off, or different locations like that to prevent chafing. And then the race that you're doing might actually provide a strap for your race chip. I've had some problems with races in the past just having like this really harsh strap and it actually tearing into my ankle. So I do actually own a couple of those race chip straps that are a little bit softer and a little bit nicer. So that's one item that you might want to buy. I think I paid about $10 for those. Not super expensive, but it's nice to have. And I like to put that on kind of like first thing in the morning, unless I'm going to a local race where I'm actually grabbing my packet pickup stuff right before the race itself. The next thing that I'll put on in the morning is actually the tri-suit that I'll be, you know, swimming, biking, and running in. I actually have quite a few of these. I did a video a while back just talking about, you know, sleeved tri-suits versus sleeveless. I'll leave a link to that. It's pretty interesting that sleeve tri-suits are a little bit faster, but I do like sleeveless tri-suits as well. And I would expect to spend about $100 on a decent tri-suit. Again, I like the Roka brand tri-suits, but those are a little bit more expensive. And the goggles that I have listed here are very affordable, and it just happens to be the pair of goggles that I like. They're only $7. You may expect to spend a little bit more on goggles just because most of you guys may have a pair of goggles that you prefer, and the pair that I actually prefer really are only $7. Again, I'll leave links to all of this stuff below. The next big ticket item is the wetsuit itself. It may be that the race that you're doing is in a pool or the water conditions are warm enough that you're not gonna need a wetsuit at all. And you may just wanna check with the race director to see what the expected conditions are. But for most of the races that I do, it is expected that I'll need a wetsuit. So for a wetsuit, I would expect to pay somewhere around $200. You can probably find something for half that price that's still pretty decent, but just make sure that you're getting a triathlon type of wetsuit, something that you can swim in, and that you're not getting some sort of dive suit or surf wetsuit, just because those really aren't meant for swimming. And the race itself will probably provide you with some sort of swim cap. I know most of the races that I've done, they've actually used different color swim caps to distinguish between the different heats and things like that themselves. So I won't put that in the pricing here. But as you get out of the water and actually transition onto the bike, you may want a pair of triathlon bike shoes. And these are just Louis Garnou, and I'll find something like this online. But I would expect to pay somewhere around $120 for triathlon cycling shoes, and that would be the type of shoes that you would clip into the bike itself. Which leads me to the most expensive item on this list, and that is the actual bike itself. And for this, you know, you can go a wide range of prices with bikes. You could get probably something used for $100 on Craigslist or wherever it is, or you can spend, you know, $10,000 on a top of the line triathlon bike. And in the previous video, I looked on Craigslist and I think I found something for around $500. But in this video, I wanted to take a look at what a new bike would cost. And I found on Specialized.com their Specialized Allez bike, which I think is a nice nice bike, but it's definitely an entry-level bike. And if you're just starting out in triathlon and you just want to see if you like the sport, I would suggest seeing if you can borrow a bike. And keep in mind, it won't matter if you're going with like a road bike or a mountain bike or, you know, a beach cruiser or something like that. You just need something that rolls that'll get you through that bike portion of the event. But if you know you like the sport and you're pretty sure you want to do this going forward, what I did was hop on Specialized.com and I just found one of their more affordable bikes. In this case, it's the Specialized Allez, which is a good road bike. It would get you through a triathlon very quickly, and it's something that will last you quite a few years. And I noticed the Specialized Allez on sale for around $750. There was a slightly different color for $850, but you can find a very nice entry bike for under $1,000 for sure. And the one part that I might suggest upgrading is just adding clip-on aero bars, just because it's a pretty affordable way to lop off a ton of time. It really helps with the aerodynamics of when you're on the bike. And I probably wouldn't suggest carbon clip-on aero bars, maybe just aluminum clip-on aero bars, and you may be looking to spend somewhere around $100 to $120 on those. And I noticed the profile design aero bars, which I think are decent, for around $85, and I would probably avoid spending, you know, over $200 for a pair of clip-on aero bars. And one thing that you'll need for sure is an actual helmet. They won't actually let you race without one, and I actually really like Giro helmets. I would expect to spend somewhere around $50 for a helmet. Again, you can spend a lot of money for an aero helmet, but a helmet will be required. And one other thing that I figured I would mention isn't absolutely required, but it is something that I would recommend, and that is a flat repair kit. It's definitely something that you should have with you when you're out training. A lot of the races will actually have neutral support, so they would be able to help you if you don't have a flat repair kit. But tubes, which you can probably buy a couple, you know, maybe 2 or 3 for 20 bucks, is definitely something good to have if you have a flat on the road. And then this is a CO2, which is just a fast way for you to inflate your tire. You could also use some sort of mini pump or something like that to inflate your tires, but CO2s are slightly faster, and you'll definitely see a lot of racers use these. And when you hop off the bike and you get onto the run, one of the first things that I do is I put on the actual race number. In North America, they usually only require that you use your race number during the run section of the triathlon. In Europe, they usually require that you wear the race number for the bike and the run, but these race belts are something that's really nice to have. It's nice to just be able to clip this on around your triathlon suit and run with it, and it cost about $12, so it's not a huge investment. Obviously, you're gonna need running shoes, and what I recommend a lot of times to people is really kind of experimenting with a lot of running shoes, figuring out what shoes you like, and then potentially purchasing last year's model of the same type of shoe. For example, I often wear the Nike Air Pegasus. I think they're on version 36 right now, but I really liked the Nike Air Pegasus 34s and the 35s. And so oftentimes I can find those discounted, maybe $20 or $30 less than the suggested retail price. And so I'm pricing this at $100 and just hoping that you guys can find a decent deal on a pair of running shoes. And the only other items that I like to have when I'm racing are sunglasses, when I'm biking, you know, and I just use something really cheap and affordable. I think the pair of sunglasses that I purchased are somewhere around $15, so definitely not high-end glasses. And I like to have, you know, a hat or a visor when I'm actually running. Again, that's probably stuff that you already have, but I'll go ahead and put $20 down for the hat and $20 down for the sunglasses as well, just to round out the total cost of triathlon. And with that, totaling up everything, we're spending about $1,500, which is an expensive endeavor. And I think in our cheap video, we were able to do this whole thing for under $1,000, but I do think that this $1,500 price tag is a little bit more realistic. And in the description of this video, I'll leave a link to a spreadsheet, just kind of with all these items broken out and the prices for them with the total. And that way you can eliminate items that you already have or items that you might be able to borrow from friends, so you can get a realistic picture of how much triathlon is going to cost you personally. And I know I've forgotten something super critical that you're thinking of, and I need your help on this one. Hop below in the comments and just mention, what I've forgotten, or just something that you think is helpful that other triathletes might want for their race. All right, guys, if you're into this sort of stuff, and that would be swimming, biking, and running, consider subscribing. There's a little subscribe button below here somewhere. There's also a notification bell that just allows you to be notified of whenever I post something new, which I try to do about once per week. All right, guys, I really appreciate you guys watching this video, and we will see you guys on the next one.